meet God. Tell them easy no man. From you love think it's bad. Me no know about you, but me love think it's bad. Me no know what them a talk about. When them say think it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problems.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Friday morning again. Wow, I can't believe how this week has just slipped by. I suppose it has been a very busy week. There's so many information out there. And I suppose when you have things to do, time just flies by. I am mentally drained, physically tired, and I don't know. I don't really and truly. Socially, I feel deprived. It's amazing how you have so many people that you can talk to, but yet still you feel so lost and still so lonely because the conversation, for me, it's just mind-boggling. It's like vampires, you know. They just suck on you and parasites and they just drain you. And that's what you're feeling. It's just you are mentally spent. I do hope, and I could almost imagine that the rest of us, or the people here in St. Kitts and Nevis, is in the same position because it has been a lot to digest, and people who have digestive issues, I suppose you have acid reflux because it stays there and it just you have lots of regurgitation. And again, there are lots of viruses out there, different strain of the viruses are out there, and so people are sick, also physically sick. So I suppose it's one of those negative time here in St. Kitts and Nevis. You're in tune to FM 98.9 on your radio dial. It's about that time for Your Views. Your Views is a program that is aired on Win FM every Friday morning at 10 o'clock. My name is Sandra Quiliato-Tun. I'm almost forgetting my name. My name is Sandra Quiliato-Tun. I'm your host normally on Your Views. I have to slow down because I am mentally tired. Normally, I cannot speak slowly. But right now, I am searching. I'm trying to get between all that information that is in there and try to put them away and try to find myself. Let's take a deep breath and bring it right back down to the center. Your Views is a program, like I said, is here on Win FM every Friday morning at 10 o'clock. It's 10 past 10 in the studios, so do not set your time from me. Normally we run a little late because, you know, you're changing over and situations like that do happen. And like I said, there are lots of information out there and everybody wants to have a chance to talk. So it's the silly season, so you have the silly people coming out and they're talking silly things like me this morning. I'll be in that silly group because it's just what it is. This morning I was ditched. I had a guest who was supposed to be here with me, but because of the fact that he's so caught up, and again it's the silly season, so everybody's trying to get their last minute things done. People who were not prepared. There's a story in the Bible that I always used to, never understood it, about the 12 foolish virgins. And when the bridegroom came, they went to trim their lambs, and so they missed out. And so you're seeing that played out very nicely here. So I always tell people the Bible has lots of information in there. You just have to be able to understand it. And now you're seeing it. We are people who didn't have a plan, but at the end of the day, they try a bluff, and their bluff was called, and you see everybody running around trying to get the last minute things in. You hear all kind of things, and it shows one thing. But I'm not going to have discussion by myself this morning. I'm going to open the lines, and so you can call in if you want to be a part of this discussion, because I think it includes you. I am here representing you, and I'm going to give you a chance to say how you feel. The numbers that you can call is 662-0989, 762-0989, or 466-0989. Those are the numbers you can call if you want to be a part of Your Views, and you can say how you feel, but you have to always be respectful. Remember, this is a radio station, and I am not going to be responsible for things that people would have said. So when you're calling in, be mindful that we are not going to allow slander, so you're not going to call people's name and you're not going to talk negative things about people. It's not about negativity. People, you are heard when you have positive information. We live in a world where negative and the negative energy is very prevalent, and people are very well caught up in negative energy. So now we need to start getting, in order for us to get that balance, we have to have some positive in it. Right now, it is not supposed to be a silly season. because we would have experienced every single party in power in St. Kitts. We would have had Labour who would have been in power. We have had PAM who would have been in power at one point in time. You had PLP who would have joined in power. CCM and NRP, they would have had their turn. And so it's supposed to be very easy for us as the electorate who to make a decision. It should be very easy. But the problem is, I'm going to tell you all, and let's start listening seriously, because we have to start thinking for our own self. I mean, there are a lot of propaganda out there, and that is the time when the propaganda machines come out and the truth is hidden. And that is one of the reasons why propaganda come out, and that is one of the reasons why it makes the most noise, because they want to hide the truth. But the truth must be told. The truth is there. There are facts to prove. The propaganda, they have no facts. There's really no evidence. It's people who are trying to divert attention, and that is what propaganda is. So we have to be very careful. Let's examine certain things. And like I said, if you want to call in, you can call in. I gave you the numbers earlier, 662-0989, 762-0989, or 466-0989. You can call in and we can have this discussion. We have a caller online. Let's take this first call. We would have lost that caller, unfortunately. But good, you have a lot more time. There's a propaganda machine out there. I told about our experience, that we would have experienced all political parties. At the end of the day, we are in a very good position to decide which party we want to go back in power. We have to stop looking at personal benefits. Let's go to the phone lines and take this call. Caller, you're live on your views.
Yeah.
Hi.
Good morning, Mrs. Atherton.
Hi, good morning, sir, and how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm fine.
Good.
I was just listening to someone before you came on, like a doctor who was running for the Labour candidate, right? Mm-hmm. And he was speaking about, we had a 2 years pandemic, and he was throwing all the blame on the Prime Minister. How that the Prime Minister make it 14 days, because, when they said you have quarantine, was this Prime Minister alone telling people they have to go in quarantine?
No, there was a NEOC. Those are the people who were responsible for deciding what they have to do.
Even though that you go overseas and come back, you have to go in quarantine. But he was making it like, I think about the Prime Minister had people for 14 days in quarantine, and it's a tower. If they're running for office, come out and tell people exactly what you're going to do. Do not speak about somebody who's in there doing for the poor class people. Are trying to help the people, and you have players inside India with him, undermining him. What they want him to do? Sit back and let him undermine them, especially Mr. Brantley and Mr. Sean Richard, which I'm ashamed of those two. I'm ashamed of those two gentlemen there. And now you have someone who won on the Labour ticket coming out and talking about the doctor told me how it is. He won't sit down in. The doctor told me how it is, but he don't have nothing against him. What are you telling people? Are he coming to fool off the people? But he's not going to fool me, because I am going to vote for Dr. Timothy Harris, because you have done well for the citizens in this federation, and plenty of people who are just. I say, yes, that was the man for this country.
Thank you.
Have a pleasant day.
Thank you very much, and thank you for expressing your views. That's what you have a right to do. So, you see, that's what happens at the end of the day. And I'm going to give some advice to politicians. We are tired of you telling us what somebody else would have done and how they would have failed. We want to hear from you what you're going to do for us, and that is what we're supposed to be looking at. Let's go to the phone lines and take another call. Caller, you're live on your views.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I think it's yesterday, I heard this morning too as well, Dr. Joe mentioned that names have been taken off of the voters list. And for years now, people been voting in an area that they never lived. I was trying to call him to ask him if one of his constituents have to vote in an area that they are not living, what will be the penalty? All right then.
Thank you. Thank you for your concern. And these are the things, like I said, people, when you hear people say things, you have to have verification. Over the years, since I know myself and I'm able to vote, or even before that, I heard about names have been taken off, people have been putting in different constituencies to vote. And it was on the previous administrations, it's now happening. They are saying it's happening under this administration. These are the things as electorate, we have to understand what we have to do. We don't have to do that. Let's look at situation and understand how do you vote and why do you vote. Let us take the parties that we have. We would have experienced PAM in the 1980s up to 1995, and then we would have experienced Labour from 1995 up to 2015. We experienced the unity concept, which is PLP, CCM, and PAM from 2015 until today. We have seen and we are in a position to judge where we would have come from and where we are presently. You have people out there who are going to tell you otherwise, because why? And it's a fact. Everybody under each government would benefit. For me, who I want to see benefit is poor people. You have to make that judgment. Whether or not, because you've been there, only the young people who are 18 and 19, they are not in a position to make the comparison and make that decision. But I suppose their parents can tell them about the hardships that they would have experienced and the benefits that they're now reaping, or whether or not they're reaping benefits. But you have to start looking at the situation from an understanding based on the experience that you would have had. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. People are out there and they're talking about money being paid, but if the only time you can get some money, because it's everybody who does the same thing, look for opportunities. Anybody who come to give you money, ask them for a job, because at the end of the day, a $500, $150 is not going to take you anywhere. If you get a job, at least you have something to look at for a longer period of time. So these are the things that are out there. Let's start talking about issues. Talk about, take your experiences that you would have had to them. Let them know that 7 years ago, nobody came to you. 7 years ago, and I hear that all the time, when parties are in opposition, they always say they're not in a position to help. Why? There are different programs that the government has in place. So maybe they would not be able to give you money physically, because people always want to have some, a little top up here, a little top up there. People genuinely have problems. Let me tell you something. Cost of living is high. We are complaining that the minimum wage is too minimum. Let's go to the phone lines and take this call. Caller, your life on your views.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes. I realize with politicians, when they're in opposition, or not even opposition, when they're not elected, right? They can help you with everything and anything. Even the impossible, they can help you with it, right? But from the time they get elected and they're in government, this got to thing, you got to make appointments, you got to take some time, you got to get settled in and all kind of excuse, right? But those excuses, you're not going to hear them when they're seeking your vote, right?
They can move mountains,
huh? With everything, and even the things that you ain't talk to them about, they're telling you. They're like Jesus. They tell you, we know other things that you want that we can help you with. They are Jesus when they want to vote from you. But when they get into power and they're in government, I don't know what they become. I don't want to put no label on them, but they're not the same Jesus when they wanted to get your vote.
Thank you.
And then next thing, I heard a clip with Mr. Mark Brantley yesterday on a radio station when he stated that since 2015 he had a problem with Timothy, right? But he said he tell it to the rest colleagues, and the guys and say, man, we gotta give the man a chance. So he joined with them. Even in that time, he wasn't the leader,
Nope.
It was Vance who was the leader of the party at that time, and the others. He said since 2015. So it meant that Mr. Brantley went into unity with a problem with Timothy.
And stay there. And stay there.
If it's since 2015, even before the man started to perform.
Yeah.
And then after he started to perform, Brantley said on different occasions, this is the best Nevis has been being treated.
Thank you.
He praised the Prime Minister, how the man is so great and everything. And what an astute Prime Minister he is and all these kind of things. But yet, in his heart, he said that he done had a problem with him before he could even start to perform. Right? That is what he coming out now and telling people. So we really want to know what Mark Brantley is really about. And what Mark Brantley is not telling people, after the 2020 election, when they were trying to get him, he was in other places making arrangement with a different party, not
Hey, let's do this. Let's do this. That's an assumption. We can't verify that information. So let's
no problem.
let's not say that. We're not gonna go based on assumption. This is your views, and we deal with facts.
Okay,
Mark
I
Brantley is a
understand.
public figure, and you have a right, based on his speech that he would have made, you have a right to talk about it. But let's not go based on assumptions.
Okay.
Okay?
You're right. I don't
Yeah.
have the evidence to present
Yeah,
to you.
and I appreciate that, because I don't want, that's one of the things, is I want to make sure that your views is a program that is held because we are transparent and we say the right things.
Okay, no problem.
Okay? But I appreciate your contribution. You have something else to say?
Anyway, right, like I was saying, he said on the program and that I heard on a station yesterday that he had a problem with the man at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But they still went with him.
Yep.
Okay, after the 2015 thing and the 2020 campaigning, if all you had so much a problem with him and think, why did you all go with him throughout a campaign?
And give the people him.
Right.
Give him to us.
And use him to get you all back in power.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after you get in power now, maybe dump him. To me, these are the things. I am wondering if they wouldn't do it to themselves too. You get rid of Timothy in that way. Suppose now, yes, Sean become the prime minister, and somebody get vexed with him. Are they just gonna plot against Sean and dump him too?
We can't trust them. It's sad, but we definitely can't. It's trust. They're talking about trust.
If I was Sean, and I believe Sean is a good guy. I believe all of them is good people. Everybody got good in them, and we got mistakes. Okay, but if I was Sean, I would be thinking down that line too. Suppose somebody gets upset with me because maybe they want me to do something, and I decide, well, hey, that is not within the Constitution.
Yep.
Would they join with others to get rid of me too? I believe Sean should keep that in the back of his head. He didn't bring it to the front of his head. All right, thanks.
Thank you for your contribution. You see, that is where it comes down to now, about trusting. The problem of trust. We have to be able to trust the people that we're putting in office. And I'm going to use this morning to go down. We have a caller online. Let's take this call. Caller, you're live on Your Views. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, my little girlfriend Sandra. How are you today?
I am very well, and you?
I'm fine. Listen to all the views on the views. School calling,
What's your contribution today? I think you're also accustomed to voices that it seems the voice is attitude. We're going to do that later.
School calling. Everybody going to say what they like.
Yeah.
If you want somebody live in a house, right? You're trying to put out, call lady show me that already, Trying to put out your share on the table. You told them you're working for maybe $200-300 a month. And then every month time you make sure you put your money on the table. And then they say they're working for maybe $600 a month. When you look, you ain't seeing nothing from them. Is you through playing kind-hearted. Is you trying to buy it. Everything in the house, maintain the house, as it's called one big name, put it one big name, maintain the house. Right? I understand what they're saying, and just with the problem Mr. Douglas had with Mr. Timothy is just that will happen now again. He said that he didn't like Mr. Douglas' way. They couldn't get nothing out of him, and they're going cabinet, neither he nor Sam nor nobody. Like he was hidey, so they started to call him 10 man in one. So now what happened? Now you look like you know come about 20 men in one. Became 6 people around you. And they can't know how we go. We just saying some mixed up story.
So let me ask you a
on how we
question.
decided.
Let me ask you a question, and I like the fact that you'd have made that point. If 6 people, 7 people live in a house, and 6 people have a problem with one person, how much longer would you live in that house? For 7 years?
Well, what I said, right? I say when I hear the result now from Mr. Timothy, I just laughing after them now because I said they should have done attack it.
So
They should have done attack it instead they reach so far because, you know, nobody want to believe them, you know.
okay, well, so if 6
They
people,
having a problem.
right?
But
So
everyone they have their views, and I understand the views.
okay, so like I
Right?
said to you again, make it simple. If 7 people live in a house, and 6 people who's the majority have a problem with one person, would you live in that house for
Them,
the next 7 years?
them no, they were supposed to move
Okay,
on
good.
it.
Appreciate
And
it.
that's what everyone said. No, why they didn't move on it as the gentleman said a while ago. Why
Okay,
they went into a second election with him,
okay.
right?
I
The
appreciate.
husband, I hear Mr. Brantley said something about they went up in Bahama and he was to go and he stepped him down and sent out to people and so and you know that sounds so funny and when you see that now you come together and say man it's like this you know I was to go to the Bahamas today and I noticed Mr. Timothy ex-me out and send Tom Jones
Okay.
all of that, and you all analyze. You all sit down, and you all analyze. Say when somebody, one of them will say me like the moon night away. What you did him? What you said? You said nothing to my knowledge. I remember he said nothing to disrespect him. And then you also had to work from that way the late come to you.
Thank you.
And
And
well, let me ask you, Miss Sanjo.
yeah,
They couldn't resign before
they
he
could
like he
have done.
fired them.
They could have done everything that they didn't do, and so therefore it left
Yes.
us, like you, people like you, to start to think. Do not take what people say for you to you. You have to be able to sit down and analyze. I just told you, if 6 people, 7 people live in a house, and 6 of you have a problem with one person, why would you continue for 7 years? And that's the question you're supposed to ask yourself.
With him.
Yeah.
So you know what happened now? He walk in and then he give them a doggy. So you all ain't coming to cabinet, you will.
No, but it's
And
about the
then,
people's business. It's not just a giving a doggy. It's about the people's business. If
and
the
then
people hire you to represent them, and you're not
them.
showing up to represent the people, then your place
But
is not
Sean
there.
say he didn't like how he jogged in him with the thing, you know, with Mr. Grant and the bit
But
of
that's
what
not the
Tom
prime
do.
minister. That is the police. So what Sean wants the prime minister to do? That's the police. The prime minister is not supposed to be meddling in police business. And these are the things that intelligent people have to look at. You have a problem, then you deal with the police, but you don't stop coming to cabinet. You're an elected representative. People elect you to be
Representative,
there.
yeah.
And so therefore, if you can't represent the people, then you don't have any business in the people's business. And it's as
next thing,
simple as
Mr.
that.
John,
Yeah.
I do not like, I hope they were ending up like Haiti, you know,
Well, if
something
that's what's going to happen, going to happen.
smelling fishy. We heading up there, this pain and pain and pain. And what all the crowd on electoral office for? We're not accustomed to that. We're accustomed, I go in, sort my name safely in the position where I leave it, and go home.
Desperate
And
people.
you know, there's a crowd down there where they look like a fish market.
Yeah, it's
We
desperation.
don't need that.
It's desperation. It shows,
And
and
stop pain and stop bullshitting. Money they say and all shame out down there. When I go see you know.
then go get some. When you get some, call me. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Really appreciate it. You see, this is one of the things that we have to understand, and we have to stop. We, as the electorate, we are the ones who allow these things, because we know, we have seen, and we understand the intention. We have the information there. Everybody's talking about, let's take another call. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you're live on your views.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing lovely.
Great.
You asked the question that if 6 people live in a house with 7 people and 6 have a problem with one, if you're going to live in the house.
Mm-hmm.
At the first instant, if you have a problem with somebody, first thing to do is to turn off, leave them.
Yes, definitely.
You don't try to work out the differences.
If I have a problem,
if you're in a marriage and the first problem you have with your husband, the best solution is to walk out on him.
it depends what the problem is.
No, depends. No matter what problem it be, you supposed to try and fix it. Because you must remember the vows are for better or for worse. So you go try and fix that problem as hard as you could, and when you find out now that you reach a point that you cannot do nothing else, then you walk out.
So you want to tell me you're going to be in a marriage for 7 years, an abusive marriage for 7 years, and you talk one talk, you talk two talk, you write one write, you write two write, nothing is happening, and you're going to allow it for 7 years. Not only that, when you have time to make presentation for the public to realize the kind of husband or the kind of wife you have, you go into the public and you praise your husband or you praise your wife to say it's the best wife or the best husband that there is. You go and you never at one point in time allude to the public that there's a problem in the marriage. How do you get help?
So if you and your husband have a problem, you come and tell the public your problem with you and your husband,
But
you put on a front, innit?
No, I don't do that. No, that's hypocrisy.
Wait. It's not, you could say hypocrisy. Isn't it protecting what you built?
Well, built what? But that is, you see, you're in a marriage for your own personal gain. No. If
something you don't want to protect it, you wouldn't try hard as you could to protect it.
But if you
reach a point that it crumbles.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Every brick in a house takes time to
You're
lay.
talking about physical things, but let me ask you a question. If I have children in that marriage, and every day my children, because of the fact that we are arguing, we're fighting, nothing could be done, I'm going to stay in a marriage that is going to retard my children's growth. It's going to stop me from able to provide properly for my children because I'm frustrated and I'm stressed. Am I going to stay in there and ruin my children's life?
Have you ever seen the movie The Diary of a Mad Black Woman?
And you see what happened in the end?
What happened in the end?
What, she left him?
Tell me how it ends. Have you ever seen that movie?
But you're talking about one man and one woman.
I'm asking you. You ask question, I'm asking you question. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes, I've seen the movie.
And how it ends?
She went off and found somebody else who was treating her good.
To turn off leave the guy, right? After done everything for him and try as hard as she could.
No,
in the end, she turned off.
No, listen. Let's come to reality. Let's come to reality because I'm not going on that movie alone.
Wait. Next thing, when the Prime Minister, the outgoing Prime Minister, went on platform and speak of 2 terms, was he lying at that time?
Speak of what?
2 terms. He only need 2 terms. He didn't believe that the country, the government belongs to no one man. Were he lying at that time?
And he maintained it to the end.
Which end? How could you maintain it when you're setting up yourself? When you ask the question point blank, you cannot give a point blank answer, yes or no. When it comes to yes or no, are you seeking 2 terms? I already speak to that, so I wouldn't have nothing else to say. Yes or no, are you looking for another term? Another thing, what has Timothy Harris sacrificed for this country? What he put in this country through? Sean and the others sacrificed their political career to put an end to the madness. What is his sacrifice?
Sir, I really don't understand what you're talking about, right? But go ahead.
Give
your view. You know, you can't ask me those. You're free to say what you want to say. I don't know what the sacrifice.
What is the name of the program?
Your views, and so you can give your views. I don't have to.
My views. So
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah.
What is Timothy Harris' sacrifice to the nation?
Okay.
What is his sacrifice?
Let me tell you. Let me go back from
Timothy Harris could have stopped this election if he had wanted to. He could have been the big man and said, you know what? You all have a problem with me, I'm going to move out your way.
Why? The people didn't
Why
vote
not?
for that.
Why not?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you. Let's go back to what you asked. And I'm not here to have a debate with you, sir. I'm here to allow you to hear your views. But I'm going to answer this one question to you. Look at Timothy from the beginning. What happened to him from the Labour's point of view? What was his problem? And that is one of the reasons when I started to look at Timothy from a different point of view. You look at the fact that our lands. So you ask a question, I'm going to give you an answer. You look at the fact that our lands were being swapped for debt. You look at the fact that we were ending up in the hands of the IMF. Timothy was living a good life. He was the deputy prime minister, and he could have stayed there. He didn't have to talk out for poor people. After he recognized that our lands were being swapped for that, he went into the House of Assembly and he represented the people. He said, if I perish, let me perish. But the truth must be told. Why? Because we will lose. The SIDF monies were there. The CBI monies were there. It was squandered. We had so much money according to them at the end. But yet still, the IMF was here. VAT came in on poor people. So you ask, what was his sacrifice? He sacrificed his life, his family, himself.
Timothy did not. He said, if he perish, he perish, but the truth must be told. What was the truth?
The truth was that the monies were mismanaged.
Eye to eye.
No, that was not the truth.
To do with poor people because under Timothy watch, there are more land that was given to the Chinese investors than Denzel Douglas under Timothy's watch.
Okay.
So don't use the land as an issue.
I have a problem. Listen, I'm talking.
Timothy said Denzel Douglas wants to be the empire. He don't want to give up the thing. He got more people against him, not for him, in Parliament. What is happening? More people in Parliament is against him than for him.
So what he did? So what did he do?
Huh?
So what did he do?
No. What did he do? He
dissolve Parliament. Dissolve Parliament. No. He dissolved.
Denzel Douglas was illegal.
Well, listen.
No. How could you have moral standing to tell me that? Out of 11 elected members, you only could mass the support of 3 and said of 2 and said that you are the legitimate prime minister.
But what has he done? What has he done?
The proper thing to do was to resign.
Why?
Because the Constitution says that the prime minister supposed to command the support of the majority of elected members.
I am not going to allow you. Listen.
He cannot command the support of the majority of elected members. So why should he parade as prime minister?
Let me tell you something. The Parliament has been dissolved, and he has given.
No, the Parliament being dissolved.
But what are you talking? Listen, he is the prime minister.
He have people down there paying people.
Listen, hi. Listen, I am not going to encourage. Like I stopped the guy the other day. I'm not going to encourage. No, that's not it. Listen. Let me tell you something. Look.
You said desperate people do desperate things, and you are correct. You are correct with that.
Let me tell you what I'm not going to do. And those of you who are calling on this program now, let me tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to allow anybody to call in. I don't care who they're calling about. I am not going to allow anybody to call in and make statements that they cannot verify. This is not voices. This is your views. And I'm not going to have an argument. We are here to discuss. You have your views and I have my views. I am allowing you to express your views, and that is one of the things that I'm going to do. But if you ask me a question, I am going to answer. Whether or not you like my answer, then you don't ask questions. But we have another caller, and be respectful, please. Let's take this call. Good morning. Hi.
I'm sorry to say this, You should never have nothing with that gentleman there, because he came to look confusion.
No, it's okay.
You want people to call in and say exactly. Could he remember how the Prime Minister Denzel Douglas had the Deputy Prime Minister Sam Kanda like a puppy? He could remember that? Could he remember when Mr. Dwyer Atherton was the Minister of National Security and he took it back to Mr. Dwyer? Could he remember that? You have to remember his history before you come and read and talk about Dr. Timothy Harris. Dr. Timothy Harris stood up for his people in Parliament when he said if he have to perish, he will perish, and it's for the land. So when he come not talking about a lot of stupidness here, they didn't get his facts straight.
Okay.
Honorable Sam Kanda suffered plenty under Dr. Denzel Douglas, and he stayed there until he get knocked out. But it's after he fired Dr. Timothy Harris, that's when Mr. Sam Kanda went over on the opposition side.
Okay.
So let him get the facts straight. You have to go over on the opposition side, then you throw in a vote of confidence on the government.
There is a constitution and it has to be followed, and that is procedures.
You must teach it and don't keep up conversation with those kind of people.
No, I
ignorant
have no.
And don't know exactly what they're saying.
No, this is
Have a
my
good day.
show, and I thank you for your contribution. But this is my show. I'm the host of my show, and I allow people to talk because they have a right to share their views. That is one of the reasons why the program is called Your Views, and so you have a right to share your views. At the end of the day, I just said whenever you call in, make sure you have facts because that's all we deal with here. I don't want propaganda, and I don't want people to call in and say what is not so or that they cannot verify. That's what it is. So let's go back and let's start looking at the situation as it is because I'm glad that the caller would have calling. We have another call. This is Becoming a Voices program. Good morning. You're on Your Views.
Hey, good morning, Sandra. You have your water nearby?
I don't drink water because then I'll have to mind my business. Not on this show. It's people's business that I'm dealing with this time.
Anyway, do you believe in personal choice?
Of course, everybody has a choice to choose. God gave us that.
Last night, I was listening to my good friend, Nital. He was talking about the people on the Second Chance program. Did you listen last night?
No, I didn't. I don't get like you guys. It's not food for thought. I think for myself. It's not influence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So he was indicating that the persons on the program, they know who they have to vote for. And advising them not to talk to other people, not to bother.
No, you can't do that.
Now, what I am saying, you see, poor people get used and manipulated by our political parties. That's why you hear them complaining after an election. They are made to feel obligated for getting anything from the country for which they belong, for which they have a right, or if not a right, a benefit which they were allowed to access. You know, you hear the same thing. Sylvie in your house, so you got to vote for Sylvie. You know, I detest those kind of statements.
I too. You have
I
a right.
detest those kind of statements.
Me too.
Because don't tell me that because somebody is on step, or on PEP, or on PAP, or on Second Chance, that they have to vote for the government or the person who initiate the program, because that is the dialogue now.
Well, I don't think that what they tell you though is that this government or whichever government is there they are making the argument is that we have given you an opportunity, and so therefore we hope that you're grateful enough to want to make sure that you can benefit from the opportunity that we were given. And in order for that to happen, then you have to vote for us. Those are the narrative that people would use.
Yeah,
I mean,
but don't make it sound obligatory.
If I say, I mean, like I said, I don't know. If you tell them that they have to, English is a funny language.
I feel offended, you know, because I was saying to myself, you know, the government expend a lot more money on graduates. They can't go and tell them that. They got to pay the economic cost for them. Those who don't think, they give them subventions and stuff like that. And they don't treat them the same way. It's the same thing you see. Election coming all parties when they throw the shirts and the bags and the banners. In the communities where the poor are predominant. You know,
and Sylvian, it's a problem that I have and would always have. And it's done by all parties.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what? All of them. And you know, that is something that I have a serious problem with. Poor people, they think they're not intelligent enough. There's some people who are not fortunate enough to be able to climb as fast, because my mother would have had 9 children, and because she would have had 9 children, I'm the eldest, and I have to make sure that my 9 siblings reach a certain level in life. Opportunities are not always given to everybody. And so some people would have it more difficult to climb than others. And so when you start to treat me as I'm giving you handouts, and because I'm giving you handouts,
like an investment,
it's an investment. But people have to look at the situation though. Because sometimes you look at a situation like we would have had and you would have talked about before. We talk about the fact, the economic situation. Ordinary people, they don't understand the economic situation. They don't understand economics. They don't understand how a government is run. They understand based on where they are and how they are benefiting. So that is how they make the decisions.
And the channel to which the things come.
And the channel, exactly.
You know, that's why you see I don't go on political parties, you know.
Neither do I.
Oh, so-and-so give you. Even the houses that you struggled You have to struggle for the sale of the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so-and-so give you a house that you have to vote. So-and-so give you land that you have to paper. So-and-so give you this and give you that. It is not their personal good that they gave you.
No, it's exactly. But at the end of the
It
day,
is a state thing, and it is yours. As a citizen of the country, it is yours.
but that is true. But then at the same thing, what you look at, though, is that is a position that all political parties, when they get in power, should do.
I think it's time enough we're done with it.
But some do it, and some...
Come by my gate to that thing, you know.
I know, because we are intelligent people. Some do
I
it.
made it clear years ago. Nobody put no labor post upon my fence. You all cannot go up to Boardwalk and do it. You cannot go down Fortlands and do it. You can't go Frigate Bay and do it. Why are you plastering up the poor communities like that?
Because the poor people, and it shows what kind of economy we have.
The
poor people is the majority. They're the majority, which is sad. Which is very sad.
It is sad.
So therefore you want to get the majority's vote, and after you would have gotten their votes, then the poor people stay in the same position that you
then they come crying. No,
again.
I don't vote for him. He ain't think. Some of them got to understand that people also have ministerial duties.
Mm-hmm.
That they can't spend all day and sit down in a corner with you.
It's not about sitting on a corner. We're talking about you have ministerial duties, and then you're supposed to build an economy that is conducive for poor people, rich people, and all the people. But a lot of times, Sylvian, and it's, to be honest, I have had people that I talk to normally when they were in opposition or they wanted to get in, they had such good plans. And I'm seeing them go in, transition into a person who doesn't want to sit on the sidewalk anymore because they have different friends. Failing to realize was the same people on the sidewalk that help you. You can't forget your friends. Now, not because you're driving a BMW now, you can't drive on sometimes. Give them a drink then and thank them periodically, not every day, but thank them for affording you the opportunity to move you out of that environment. You can't spend 6 hours anymore because you have another 3 hours to spend with your rich friends. And this is one of the problems that I have.
Poor people, a lot of us don't believe in God, And the Bible we have warn us. You cannot put your trust in human beings. Human beings change.
Yeah, there's definitely.
So when they change, we become all alarmed.
Yep.
He said, woe to the man whose trust is in man.
Yep. But then
whose hope the Son of Man is.
But let me tell you, Sylvine, when you are desperate and you ain't gonna see God, nobody ever see God face to face. When you're desperate, when you are desperate,
they're reaching up. If poor people know the value, I always say so, If poor people know their value, they would act differently. If look, God made me no less than Mr. So-and-so.
Yeah, but then why Mr. So-and-so have a big house and I don't have none? We could say as much as we want, Sylvine. If God made us all equal, how come he has a big house and me ain't got none? How come he could drive a BMW and I got to walk?
God did not make us equal in terms of possession.
But at the end of the day...
In terms of our humanity, in terms of our value, our self-value. If you value yourself as much as Kawaja, Haley, you understand what I'm saying, Rams, then you would react differently. You would be insulted. Imagine somebody can come and tell you, oh, what you want. I tell them, nobody come by my gate to ask me what I want.
But
everybody going, oh, how can I help you?
Sylvian, I am in a position...
Darling, they needed help all year round.
Exactly. Let me tell you something. We can say as much as we want. And it is a sad state that we are in. Yeah, when people are waiting for people to come around to give me a bag of rice, some Vienna sausage, it's sad. When you can look as a politician to come to somebody's house once after 7 years with a pound of rice, 2 Vienna sausage, listen, I find that is a serious insult. Why? And they can do better, Sylvine. They can do better. Because they have made themselves better. But they look at people who could help them. They don't look at you.
They're going poor.
And come out multi-millionaires.
In a very short time,
Thank
everybody
you.
is millionaires.
Thank you.
And that's what I tell some people, say, you are making all that noise and that racket and carrying on. Don't you see those who are around them, how they have progressed?
Thank you.
At the end of one term, they're rich.
Thank you.
And you hear fighting.
And
you
so,
must assess what it is you see about each thing.
thank you.
You think about, somebody give you and so and so do that for you. They do that for you. What have you done for them? You
Well,
do more for them than they do for you.
This is why I want to change the mentality of poor people. I am poor. I understand poverty. I work hard.
Poverty have levels, Sandra.
Yeah,
Poverty have levels.
You could say what you
when
want.
People who are better off, I will never call myself poor.
Let me tell you.
I was born
Let me tell you
poor,
something. I was not
raised
born.
poor.
Let me tell you something. Nobody is poor, providing you could get up
But that's
at
what I'm telling
mornings
you.
and you could
So you
eat.
say you're-
But we are categorized, and I'm talking about the category that we have been placed in. We are categorized.
You put yourself there?
Not
You can't
me.
put yourself
Not
there
me.
where
I'm
you
talking
live
about how society look down and so. Me, I would never be poor.
No.
Sylvine. I have life, I have health, and I have the ability to become rich like anybody
and
who
to think for yourself.
Exactly.
A so-called poor man who can't think for himself is rich.
But they're lazy.
It cannot be manipulated.
Poverty is a choice. Poverty is a
Somebody,
choice.
and I'm going to vote for Mr. So-and-so because I said, they hear themselves.
Oh, well, I taught my
They
children.
hear themselves.
I taught
We need to build up, let me tell you, all parties need to build up the self-esteem of our people. They need to lift it up. They need to have programs. You understand? Well, some of the black people has tried. Some of the Rasta has tried, but even they themselves are also dependent on handouts, a lot of them, in the same way.
Sylvia, we live in a system that's set up to control people. It doesn't matter, and we could say as much as we want because we're on the outside, and we would have climbed not the ladder, but at least take 2 steps up the ladder. So we live in a system was designed to control people, and it's going to forever be that because people want power. People want, and so in order for you to get power, you always have to give little handouts. Satisfy. While you're down there sitting down and eating your little piece, I'm climbing up and eating more. And every time you go, you get a little piece there, until you climb to the top.
Because, I have been around the bush here 74 years now. And each election cycle, the transactions become more and more fierce. The demands. I say, well, my poor people are rich this time is 3 set of parties now in St. Kitts. PLP got to give, PAM got to give, Labour got to give.
I want to be a poor person.
Because the electorate decides, since they're not being thing after, they want it now.
No. And I agree with them. Because you promised me when you go in, you come back down to the same. You went in, and you're coming back the same position. I'm still here.
Really, so the election, the result of an election is not based on anything other than the ability to pay.
Well, and some people still will look at your performance, huh? So even though you pay me, and you said it before, even though you pay me doesn't mean I have to vote for you. Remember that. That's one of the good things about it. Even though you pay me, I don't have to vote for you.
To the top. Because by the way, are they going to allow planes to come in with people?
Sylvine, I'm a talk host. Talk show host. I'm a talk show host. I don't get involved in politics.
No. I remember they were trying to pass this thing in Parliament. I think he had the second reading, but I don't think he had the third reading.
Well, I don't know. I still believe that people on the outside supposed to stay out. If you pay your taxes, you can come in. If you don't pay taxes, stay out.
According to the new act, they were supposed to be on the island at least
6 months before.
The date of the announcement.
Yeah.
You know?
So
a lot of the things that happened there, could have been avoided, but it's pride,
Pride, greed, and power.
Well, darling, who got power and want to let it go, so they do anything to keep it.
Exactly. We have to...
But you see, if our people were a little more secure, then we could take criticism.
Yep.
But if you're insecure and you let go this year, you would have accumulated enough in the first term. But anyway, may the Lord help us. I am praying hard. I encourage people now to pray. God one saying they want to pray now.
I said to my mother one time, it's in the Bible. God help those who help themselves. She said, no, that is not in the Bible.
Not in the Bible.
That is man-made. So I suppose we have to learn to make. God has given us our choices.
God has helped people who help themselves.
As big and almighty
as the God of the widow. the orphan, the fatherless, all of those.
Okay.
The poor and needy.
Well, I poor and needy, so he's my God. So
Man, don't mock the poor.
huh?
Do not mock the poor.
What is a poor? Who is poor? I said I
You
am
don't-
poor. How you gonna tell me don't mock the poor? What you know about me?
I will not talk your business on the phone. You ain't
oh.
come here for that.
Okay, cool.
Have a good day.
You do likewise. Oh, well. We are winding down. We are running out of time slowly but surely. And I really haven't had a chance to say what I really wanted to say. But I suppose it was a chance for you to listen to what other people had to say. And you have to come to your own conclusion. We have just experienced a coalition government. We have had 3 parties who were part of it. Kitchens would have boasted that, and I have seen that, and I'm not going to hide to say it. We have been the envy of our neighbors about where we were economically, and we have to start using that as a yardstick. Let's go to the phone lines and take another call. I'm so tired of talking. Caller, you're live on Your Views. Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Sandra.
Hey, my friend. A good thing only have a little bit of time. What's up?
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
What's up?
Basically, right? I think we're skirting around the problem. You're skirting around the problem.
Me?
Too,
Go ahead.
right? It's not about personalities. We got to stop looking at the personalities. If we don't put systems in place to keep these people in check, we will always come back to the same place.
And I agree with you
Because
100%.
That's who politicians are.
Exactly. And so
Right.
don't say me. I'm listening to what people are saying, and you came in and you put you hit the nail right on the head. We need systems. We are changed. It's like a basketball game. We are subbing, but the game remains the same. You change players, the rules are the same. You're gonna go into when they get tired, they come out.
Exactly. So why not change the
Systems, and I'm waiting for a government who's going to do so.
But then at the same time, you don't reward those who don't deliver the systems that need change by re-electing them, do you?
But then you have
You
3
change
parties.
them.
You have 3 parties that were involved. You had a party that was in there before, and the system was there under them. They didn't change it. This new with the 3 parties, I tell you, every single person. So we're gonna do. NRP was in there, PLP
Change
was in
again.
there,
What
CCM
you
was
gonna
in
do?
there,
Keep them in
Labour
there?
was in there. But this is what I'm saying to you. They have been in there and they have not changed the system because the system
get
worked for
them
them. So
out.
what do we do? Send
Get
home.
them out.
So then let
What
us
do
not
you
vote
do?
then, because all of them going back to the polls. So who you vote for now?
You vote for the opposition.
Which opposition?
If
Who was
if
in there
they
already
don't
for
deliver,
20 years?
Then you vote them out too.
For who was in there for 20 years? And the system remained
But
the
Sandra,
same.
It's one person in that. Let's take the Labour Party right now. One person who was in there for the 20 years. The other person who was in there for 20 years is actually Dr. Harris. You have to keep changing.
And
them
that
until
one
we get
person
the
was in there
change
for
we
20
want.
years. Well, Labour, Dr. Douglas has been in there for 20 years. He's going back in again.
But the
But-
leader is different.
What
and the
leader is
other-
different? You
well,
have people who...
The other 7 members are all different. They were not in there. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. You have to have renewal. You can't keep recycling the same set.
But then listen, let's go back to where we were then, if that is the case. In the case of PLP, CCM, and PAM, the only person who was in there for 20 years was Dr. Harris. Okay? He was the only person in there for 20 years. It's the same thing.
You're getting hung up on 20 years, Sandra. That is not the point. They have
No.
7 years to change what could have been done in 6 months, and
Okay.
they have not done it.
Okay, good.
You want to tell me you must keep them in there for 20 years? They didn't do it in 7
No,
months.
but then at least they
So
haven't
what are
even...
you saying?
So then we're going to put back somebody who was in there for 20 years and hope that the
Who are you
system is
putting
going to
back Who
change.
was in there for 20 years? Let me hear you.
Huh?
Who are you
Dr.
putting
Douglas
back?
is still... Dr. Douglas is
And
with the
Dr.
Labour
Douglas-
Party. He was in there.
And Dr. Douglas is 1 out of 8 representatives who are going to be there, and he
Okay.
is not even the leader.
But you see what's happening. You see what's happening with this one here now. That one person, according to the whole majority, 9, 11, 10 of them, says one person has held back the whole process. You see what is happening? And so it's the same thing the other ones can say. One person would have held it back. But we're out of time, and I want to discuss this. It is a pity.
But we have to change. We should
change the system and not the players. And that's I agree with you.
Don't work out, change again.
No, I'm not into too much changes. And at the end of the day, my children's future is looking very, very dim. So changing. We need to get people who are honest. People who say they're going to do something, and when they get in, they do it. That is what we are missing.
You realize that all of these here are accusing each other of dishonesty?
Yeah.
Get them out.
And we already see in the labor situation where there's going to be a problem. What we do, stick our head in the sand and
okay. In the labor situation. If there's a problem and the same thing happens, you get rid of those too.
If the same thing happens again.
Because if you don't, Sandra, what you are doing is maintaining the status quo.
But look at look at what's going to happen though. If we continue changing, when are we going to start to build an economy? You know what is happening out there? We are looking at what's happening here locally about changing people. There are lots of things out there. We have a war going on outside, might turn into a third world war. We have a variant that is coming. I mean, we see what is happening to our children. We have to have things in place that are going to protect us. It's not about just putting people in positions.
If you change, you don't think that at some point the politicians are going to realize that these guys are serious and change the systems. Because go back to the beginning. That is what needs to change.
Well, we saw the system being changed. We see some work being done on that, on some of the changes. There's some.
What?
They have already started the term limits. Term limits didn't happen, but they have it there to go through. So they already have all the things that's supposed to change.
You think it takes 7 years to change the term limit?
I know it took 20. So I know. I give them another 3 minutes. They might get it done in 10. So let's see what's going to happen. It was good having a conversation with you, and I'm seeing Sharon. When I see Sharon in the other room, it makes me come off quickly because I know that she's serious about things, so I have to go. Okay. It was a pleasure. It's the time has come, and let me tell you something. I have to run because I don't know if I'm going to run because I'm waiting for Devon to have voices. I don't know. Mentally, I am drained, and I do understand. Honestly, people can say what they want about my last caller. I don't know if you want me to call his name, but I do like having discussions with him because he makes a lot of sense. We have to change the system, not just the players. We saw that this administration was trying, but they got sidetracked somewhere around. I don't know whether or not they will continue to do so. But again, we have to look at where we are economically and see whether or not we want to make that big change. My name is Sandra Quilliachitan. It was a pleasure being here. Please do not forget that COVID-19 is a threat, and we have cases here starting to rise again. We have to adhere to protocols. It's Friday, and I do hope that you enjoy the rest of the week, beginning of the weekend. But please make sure you're careful. Voices is up next with Devon Cornelius.